Good afternoon. Thank you everyone for joining. This is Greg Rice with Alpha Solutions. I'm going to give just a couple more minutes. We've still got some other people joining. I'm going to go ahead and go on mute, but I'll be back here in just 1 minute or two.
Yep.
Again, thank you for your patience. Just 1 more minute and we'll get started. Okay, thanks for your patience. Again, this is Greg Rice with Alpha Solutions. I'm the Director of Sales, and I'd like to invite you to today's presentation of our Sitecore Search Solution. We're going to spend some time today walking you through what the system is designed to do, and we'll go into a demonstration, and we'll follow that up with a review of pricing and services options, and then leave plenty of time for questions. I'd like to introduce Niket Ashesh. Niket, if you would like to give a little background about yourself and then jump in, that would be great.
Hi, everyone. My name is Niket Ashesh. I am a Sitecore Solution Architect at Alpha Solutions. And I've been working on Sitecore for very many years now. One of the things that it was always an issue was how do you make website search work? And I've seen several implementations of it. At Alpha, we had similar challenges, and we decided to build a product that sits on top of Sitecore to be able to spin up a site solution fairly quickly. The key benefits are not only you can index and search Sitecore content, but also work through external content. So today's presentation we'll be talking a little bit about Alpha Solutions, a little bit about how we got started with the search solution, and then dive deep into what the offering is. So without further delay, I am going to go into the presentation. So let's see. All right, so as I mentioned, we're going to go through Alpha Solutions, the search solution features and benefits, and why we built it, also some customers, and the key offerings and product highlights. So Alpha Solutions, we are a Sitecore Platinum implementation partner, and we've been working on Sitecore pretty much since Sitecore opened the doors for partners back in Copenhagen. And today our offices are in Los Angeles, Dallas, New York, and Copenhagen. We've done several Sitecore implementations for fairly large and complex situations. And a lot of our customers from very start are still our customers. We are, as you can imagine, experts at search because while we were building the product and implementing it on several different solutions, we learned a lot about Solr limitations. We're one of the go-to partners for Sitecore to reach out whenever there's a concern about search. And then we also do e-commerce, Sitecore Experience Platform work, architecture work, and governance. Really quickly, one last slide about the company. 4 offices, I already mentioned that, 20 plus years in the industry, 75 Sitecore projects, and 100 team members. And we have multiple MVPs on staff, both commerce and technology. All right, let's dive into the search solution. So if you're using Sitecore, you would know that one of the things that Sitecore has done over the years is built a very neat content search API with with a lot of emphasis on Solr. One of the challenges, though, is that it's an API. So you still have to go ahead and write your code to build all of the functionality desired. Sure, if you have a lot of time and you have a lot of development resources to focus on that, it's fairly easy to do. Now, but the key requirements that you would need on any website search would be make sure that your data is indexed, make sure the relevancy is defined properly, make sure you have a faceted search. All of that would require some dev effort. What we've done is we've actually put together the time and effort and come up with the solution. So out of the box, we ship with pretty extensive relevancy models, and today in the demo you're going to see how we can extend the relevancy model as well, and none of it requires any dev work. So everything I'm going to do is going to be based through the interface. We have faceted search. You can define facets based on multiple different fields that you build in. The way we interact with Sitecore data or the Sitecore field is not configuration based in an XML that needs to get deployed. Our configurations are managed right in Sitecore. So is our type ahead. Our type ahead can have multiple UI elements built into it. Some of our customers actually show the entire search result in type ahead. And then when it comes to accuracy and relevancy, you can work with the synonyms. You can have stopwords defined, because if you're working with different languages and you want to make sure that the indexing happens correctly, that works. And of course, all of this, the goal of it is to make sure that you can get to a website search fairly quickly and without introducing a new piece. You already have Solr. That is one of the core requirements for Sitecore. And if you're thinking about switching to Sitecore 9 and using the experience platform, Sitecore recommends Solr. The only time they're saying now Lucene is the option would be for an content management only deployments. So why did we come up with SSS? So I touched upon it a little bit. Really what we found was almost every customer of ours had a lot of content, and they were looking for ways to deliver the content fast and be able to give end users the ability to search for relevant content. Then the second piece was we wanted to make it easy for content authors to be able to build new pages. So they can have landing pages that are driven by search parameters, or even landing pages with certain marketing terms that are coming from, let's say you're on Google and you're running a campaign, you want a search-based landing page so you never show a 404. You can take those terms and work through. And then we also found that Lucene had certain limitations, and we wanted to go with Solr. Actually, one of the interesting things is we did this in 2010. Our product was first released, and it was before Sitecore implemented its own Solr providers. And finally, we wanted tasks such as managing the synonym, learning about what people are searching for, etc., in the hands of business owners or business users and not developers. So that was the intent, and SSS came along. Some of the clients who are using SSS today. So we have several other clients. This is a quick view into a few. All right, so I'm going to go a little bit over the architecture of what it looks like, because that's obviously an area of interest and how much it impacts your Sitecore implementation, and then switch over to the demo to give you a real-time experience of what it means to change your search relevancy and synonym definition. So the first piece is, what are we offering? So as I mentioned previously, we're offering faceted search, rich dynamic media type ahead, advanced ranking and sorting schemes. You can have search promotion. A search promotion would be there's two use cases of search promotion and brand search redirects. Is if you're searching for a term, you don't want to show a result, you just want to take the user directly to the search to the landing page you have. That's one option. The other would be if somebody is searching for, let's say, it's an apparel site, and somebody's searching for boots, you have a certain boot that is on sale, and you want to make sure that one shows up first. You can make that happen too. Then and then thus our prioritized results also helps you with those. You can even dictate based on the search term provided what set of results can show up on the first page or not show up on the page, and we'll see a demo of how that's set up. Dictionary management, essentially for a lot of time people misspell. A classic example would be a lot of the medicine names are very complex to spell, and there's a lot of time people inaccurately spell it, and then they don't get results, and then they move on to a Google search, which may lead people to another competitor's website. If you don't want to do that, you can kind of learn from your users and see what they've been using the system for. Once you get an idea of what the search parameters that were used, you can have synonyms defined so that the closest match can be returned in the results. And with the same logic, you can also have replacement products defined. So as an example, if I'm searching for a medicine and I want to show up a different medicine, which is more of a generic medicine that is available to them, but a different name, I can do that as well. And for seasonal product continuity as well, the same concept applies. Finally, one of the most interesting features we have is the ability to crawl external sources. So you can crawl websites, you can crawl external SQL databases or any other data source. You can have file. We actually use one of the Apache framework for being able to crawl PDF and other file formats. We can crawl at least, we can crawl over 1,000 different formats. And what you do is you bring this content into search and make it available on your website, which is built on Sitecore, without having to get people to jump from one site to the other. And you can also manage the frequency of the crawl. Perfect. And so this is the last slide I'm going to go through before I switch to the demo. What this slide really goes over is how is it built. So you'll notice at the heart we're using Solar. So our product uses Solar, and we've built in management components to it. We have a connector for Sitecore, so everything you're managing within the Sitecore admin interface. So you don't have to go into a different server, you don't have to go into a different system to manage it. We've got connectors for non-Sitecore content as well. As I mentioned, you can crawl PDF files, you can crawl any kind of external database, or simply crawl a website. The top layer is the UI layer. What we have done is, out of the box, we provide UI elements that are built using Sitecore's renderings and sub-layouts. So we ship with both web forms and MVC controls. The way you manage it is identical to how you would build a regular Sitecore component. And of course, with that, you get a lot of flexibility around what is being presented on the page. We've built in filters so that you can filter out results as well. And then search intelligence is where you can tweak your search result or get an insight into what the customer is doing. So with that, I'll actually switch to the demo. And let me pull up the site real quick here. Okay. All right. So for the demo, what we've done is we've taken the Sitecore's Habitat site. This is the newest site that Sitecore has built as an example. The site is actually available for download on GitHub, including the source. What we did is we took that site, deployed it, and deployed SSS on top. So one of the two important things I want to point out is, actually two important things that I want to point out is that this is a multi-site situation. One is the legal site, which actually is just content that talks about a law firm. So the way the site is divided is there's practice areas, there's our team members, there's some news, and then there's some articles which are in the About Us section. And the other site, which is running on the same Sitecore instance, is the actual Habitat site that talks about Sitecore's Helix principles and the Habitat website. So what you'll notice here is this is more about introduction to Habitat, what kind of modules are available, how do you get started, and just a little bit more about Habitat. So now the reason I'm highlighting this is because our search results will vary, and I want to make sure I'm going to be switching between the two sites, and I'll make sure that I announce when I'm doing that. So let's actually start out with the basic. The Habitat site actually ships with the search, and this is how the Sitecore Content Search API kind of returns results, and as you can see, it's missing the facets and pieces. Of course, that can be done, but requires code. Versus what we've done is we've actually taken a simple solution here, and I would get a very similar result set. And straight out, the first thing to notice is what I'm doing here is I'm actually getting hit highlights. I am getting, which I wasn't getting in the Habitat solution. I'm getting the same elements as I'm getting the images listed out here. One of the things I actually missed highlighting is my search, the type ahead is also giving me a good preview. Now this is 100% configurable, and you can have images there, you can have call to actions there, whatever you'd like to put in there. Additionally, we have some sort options. So I can sort things by title, ascending and descending, or best match, or in case if we have dates, we can work through that. The other piece, which I do want to highlight here, is when I do show the result, it's giving me a result of 2,858 results. And in the source section, you'll notice that I'm crawling external sites. So I'm also crawling BBC, CNN, NPR, Reuters, and Fox. And then finally, I'm crawling the Sitecore piece. So the result set is completely merged, and it's really hard to tell where the data is coming from. But when I hover over it, you'll notice that this piece of information is coming from BBC. So one other piece I would like to demonstrate is now when I go to my home page, you'll notice that I'm getting an SSS component. So I'm using Sitecore's rule engine for personalization and returning results for based on what the user has previously searched. So you'll notice that this is the exact same result set that I get when I go to the SSS page. And let's actually search for Android. So I'm getting result on Siri, Warren Buffett, and I'm going to go back here to my Habitat site, and I'm getting the exact same result. Now you can extend this principle to apply more around not only showing results based on the last term that they've searched, but taking it beyond and saying last term they've searched more relevancy, or even an alternate result that you want to demonstrate. The other piece that I have here is the law site. Very similar is the law area. What I want to demonstrate is here I am not, all the content that I have is actually stored in Sitecore. So as you can see, there's not that much content. One of the things I do want to demonstrate is let's search for law. So when somebody's searching for law, it is a very generic term. And I find that what the result I'm getting is a lot of articles that have law in there. But when I switch over to page 2, I get a lot of information about team members. So what if I wanted to show team members before I show the rest of the result? Because it's a generic term, and maybe I want to promote our team members so that people can interact with them and I have a call to action. So let's go ahead and do that and set that up in SSS. So perfect. Okay, so what I did here is I logged into Sitecore. As I mentioned previously, it is 100% integrated, the SSS module. So the way you access it is you'd go here, and then I have my Search Studio sitting here. I'd go to the Search Studio, and I'm going over, the first thing I do want to go over is making sure how do I define my ranking, because that's the goal I wanted to do. So when somebody's searching for law on my legal website, I want to show up our team members before anything else. So the way I would go ahead and adjust the ranking is I'd go to the ranking section, choose my ranking profile, and I'm picking legal because it's the legal website that I want to modify things on. And just really quickly here, I'd go back here to law, and you'll notice that these are document types. So I've already defined certain settings here. So I'm going to go choose my document type boost. I'm going to push the article down. I'm going to push the product all the way down. I'm going to take the our team member all the way to the top. This one a little bit low as well. Let's go back. So one thing that we have to do with Solar is when we are making these configuration changes, we have to make sure that the configuration is updated. The way we do that in our interface is there's a reload code section. I'd go ahead and do that. It is successfully loaded. So now let's go and change. So I'm still on law, and I'm going to search for law again. And as you can see, I start getting results for users on the first page itself. Sorry, my team members on the first page. And if I switch to the second page, now I'm getting more about the About Us section, etc. Now, one thing to note is that there's still relevancy being followed, which is why these two items are showing up on the top. That's because they have a higher relevancy regardless based on the content they have in the metadata and the content they have in different title fields. And what I mean by that is not only can I tweak things based on document type, I'm also defining my ranking profile based on phrases and query. So I'm saying if it matches anywhere in the title, then of course it gets a higher boost. So it's a combination of different things that we've done. And as you can see, none of it requires any kind of coding. We're really just managing it here. The other piece of information that sometimes people have, the use case that people have actually used SSS for is, so let's go ahead and do that. So obviously we have our did you mean functionality. The did you mean functionality is based on synonyms that you've defined or a proper English dictionary that is provided, and it works with any language. What we can do is we can support any language that Solar supports, and if you have any custom language definition in your solution, then as long as you have an analyzer defined for it, which will be something you'd have to pick on the closeness of the language with any available standard analyzers from Sitecore, from Solar, we would be able to work with that as well. Now, obviously, what I found here is that people are misspelling Android. Now, I know that because I'm the user who's searching for it, but how would my content author know that? So the way they would find out about it is that they would go to the statistics section, and as you can see, there's a different area that talks about different statistics that is provided. So I'd go to the result, zero result query, and I will do previous month. So you would quickly see that it pulls out a report, and it kind of breaks it down into the different queries that have been used several times. And you'd notice that this is a demo site, so obviously we're using the same terms over and over again. But on your solution, we can also break it down based on the different sites that you have available. This data is actually stored in SQL. So if you're familiar with that and you want to go straight to the table and get that information, you can get that too. So now that I know customers are searching for Android and they're getting it wrong, so how do I fix that? And you'll notice that I have two different spellings for Android that people are doing, searching with. So I'll just take the first one, and I want to make sure that I don't give customers a page which says, did you mean? I actually do want to match it up with the result. For that, I would go to the dictionary section. I would go back to my legal synonyms, my habitat synonyms, because I actually switched over to the habitat website. So I'm going to add a synonym here. Once I have done that, go ahead and save it. The same exercise that I need to reload the core because I'm reloading the configuration. Once that is done, let's go ahead to the website and do a quick search on Android. And just like that, I have results here. And one of the key things you'll notice is that it's giving me highlights as well for the relevant search that has been performed. Similarly, if I do something like I'm doing a search on share, so you'll notice that I'm also doing proximity search for sharing, shares, part, and oops, sorry, sharing, share, part, shared. These are also being matched, and we can define these as well. Finally, let's go back to the Android example. So in the Android example, let's say somebody is searching for Android, and you will notice that it is showing me a result of Siri, and that's kind of weird. And I'm also getting a result for Apple while I'm searching for Android. How's that done? So the way that is done is actually, let's go ahead and make our search result changes. So I'm going to go to I'm going to go to document authority section. In the document authority section, I'm going to go to habitat, and you'll notice that I have an elevation defined here for the term Android. So let's click that and see what's going on. So the first thing you'll notice is I actually have a document authority defined, and it's actually manipulating my results. So I'm excluding some of the Android results, and I'm promoting some of the items. So let's actually do this again. What I do want to do is I'm going to remove this Android setting. I'm going to reload my core, and I want to see if I did not have that in place, what would my result set look like? So let's go ahead and do that. All right, so now here you'll notice that my result set has Android, and I'm no longer getting those couple articles that I was showing up. So, okay, with that, how do I kind of make sure that I can make a completely different result set show up here? What I would do is I would actually go here again to the document authorities, go here, and I'm going to define a new one. All right, so here I am, so it tells me what the result set for the would be for when somebody's searching for Android. One of the things that I can do is if you compare with what I have presented here, so it's talking about Facebook. Facebook actually does happen to be the third result that is showing up on the website. How about I don't want this, and I don't want the Taliban app showing up there. What I'm going to do is I'm going to say within the exclude section, I'm going to say I don't want this in the result set. I do not want this in the result set. And I want to make sure that this one is showing up on the top. So WhatsApp and starts encrypting messages goes up on the top. Now, along with that, what if I wanted to do what I had originally set up was when somebody was searching for Android, the results set was showing Apple results as well. So I'm going to do the exact same thing again, and I'm going to search for Apple, and I'm going to say put this in top and put this in top. Now, last time when we searched, Siri was showing up in the first result. This time, WhatsApp is going to do that. I want to make sure that the Warren Buffett one shows up next. So pretty simple. And let's actually make sure that this one also shows up. And so this shows up on the top. This one shows up here. And just like that, I'm able to configure what my result set should be. A good use case for it would be if you have several products that have the similar, let's say, category, and people are searching for the category name. What you want is you want to elevate a certain product within the category because you have a little bit too much of stock, or you have a sale going on over there. That's kind of how you would make sure that this result set is matching up. Or it could even be situations where people are searching for, let's say, a holiday. And a holiday, what you could do is you can curate if somebody's searching for, let's say, Christmas, and you want to promote your products and not the articles that have been written, then you can also make sure that that's what is promoted. So now this is in addition to the ranking that you're defining based on document type. This is where I'm guaranteeing that the result that is going to be displayed will have these four results, these four items on the top. So let's go ahead and see how does that change. So I've saved this. Go back here and reload my core. Core reload is complete. I'd go back to the site and Android. Now I get the same result set that I was looking for, and that's pretty much the basic. Then the second piece is how to how does the UI and the elements kind of work together. So I'd go into Sitecore, and the way we've set this up is, actually before we do that, real quick, let's look at how do we index external sources. So the way we index external sources is if I go to the second piece of our module, we call it the pipeline. So these pipeline, it's very similar to how Sitecore pipelines are set up, and in that you have processes, meaning you define steps one after the other. So we're going to do a very similar thing here. All right. So once I'm logged in, what I can do is I can create a new job. And as you can see, these are some of the crawlers or some of the connectors that I've already configured. What we can do is pick a file scanner or a SQL scanner or a web crawler, depending upon what we want to use. So I've already set up something. I'm simply going to go and look at that. So let's look at how I'm crawling the BBC site. So I picked one of the web crawlers. I have defined what my seed URL is. I've also defined everything that I do want to crawl. I'm given it the depth, so how deep from a link it's going to be. Or I can always enable debug and get more logging into it. Or if I don't want to do that, I can set that up also. And the group name is really just for grouping it if I were to ever go here and view jobs. So if you, let's say, have multiple sites and you want to group it, that's really what that's for. The next step to this is selecting your stages. So selecting your stages is kind of similar to a Sitecore processor. So in this case, what we're doing is we're taking the HTML and we're converting it into an XML. The XML, from there, we do an XML path, and then basically go through and set it up in Solr. So it's really simple, where we are picking what our values would be. So if I go back here, so I'm basically saying my source is BBC Tech News, my language is English because I'm only setting up English, and then my mapper, so the left-hand side is the field that I'm getting from, that I'm writing to in Solr, and right-hand side is what the value I have gotten from the website. We go ahead and we've completed this, and then here's where you define your schedule. You can define it on a daily basis. If you want to do a custom cron expression, you can do that too. Or kind of pick your start time and select after how many minutes or hours do you want to do that. These jobs also provide, you can also look at what was crawled because we do capture the files, and you can also go ahead and look at all the views on what the logs were while crawling was happening. That's really simple. Now, how do we go ahead and define that? Define our Sitecore indexing. Now that's actually managed right here within the modules. So you'll notice that everything is built with Sitecore's core principles in mind. In here, we call something as a publishing node. And if you're familiar with Sitecore's way of defining indexes, you know it's done in an XML file. You go ahead and choose where you want to index from, how you want to map your fields, what the field names are. We don't do any of that. We actually take a very simple route. On a Sitecore item, you're picking the templates that you want to index. You're defining where you want to index from, languages that you want to index. You're giving it a site name. This is for just URL generation. And here's our field mapping, and it's really simple. Anything on the left is what the field name, so this is the field name in Sitecore, and on the right is the field name in Solr. So very similar to Sitecore, how Sitecore does dynamic fields with _t, underscore p, or etc., or _sm. We follow a very similar process where we have _string, _type ahead that defines what the field is in Solr. And the other piece is a lot of time you may have situations where here I have an example of a situation where it's an image. So I want to get the URL index, and I do not want to get the raw value indexed from Sitecore. So the hash mark actually triggers a piece of code which is mapped, and the way it works is related item URL, news image, and you're good to go. Once you have defined this, anytime you publish your content item, our pipeline will actually be invoked, and it will give us that give us the data that needs to go and be stored in Solr. So that's really how simple it is to define a new field in an index. Additionally, if you want to define something around facets, the way we do that is we actually go to the content item. All right. So the page that I was demoing was SSS search results. So let's go ahead and look at that. Actually, I'm going to pick the other one, the legal website. I'm going to go to SSS search results, and let's go ahead and do it in page editor view. Okay, so as you can see, everything is built with the editing interface in mind. This is a very simple way for us to kind of make sure that our lists are our list can be managed. So one of the things that I can do is if I open it up, it'll give me more information about these are our search configuration. So I'm choosing which handler to use. That's really just picking which site to use, how many results I want to show per page. And also, now this is an interesting feature that we have. A lot of time we've gotten into situations where people do want to limit the search based on certain parameters. So let's say I am building a page, I'm building a search page that requires that requires me to limit the result to just product types. So how would I do that? I would actually use this filter, and I will say specific field. And I'm going to go doc type string and equals product. So I'm not guessing anything here. What I've done here is I basically came into the results set. I added a filter and I said I want to show only results on this page for products and nothing else. And as I do that and save this, you can see my document type is now only limited to products. This particular item is very useful when it comes to situations where you want to create a search-driven page fairly quickly. We can work with multiple designs, so you can have landing pages of different with different widgets that are presented in different formats, and each of the widget can be controlled or triggered to use the filter here. Now I'm going to get rid of this filter and I'm going to demonstrate a couple other things. Okay, actually let's go ahead and remove the whole thing. All right, now as I'm scrolling down, picking facets is really simple. I can take a doc type, I can take a category, I can take a product or a rating. So let's take a rating in this case. I would go ahead and also for sorting, I have different sort types defined. Adding a sort type is really just selecting what I want in there. I'm going to go ahead and save this. So the first thing that should go away is now I get my rating options and I do get my product options. As you can clearly see, I did not set up my rating filter properly. That's why I'm getting these values that are not user-friendly. Now, how would I go ahead and update those things? That's actually fairly simple. Let me first do this. I'm going to get rid of the rating facet here. And let's switch back to Sitecore. Okay, so where are these elements defined? These elements are defined in here in the configuration section of the module. So all the facets that I have defined here, all the sorting that I have defined, it's really as simple as right-clicking, insert a new one, and what you are defining is giving it the display name and what the sort direction would be. So in this case, all I'm saying is in the Solr field to a negative, which means in descending sort. Similarly for facets, I'm doing the exact same thing. Display category is the facet. How many results do I want the facet, and how it is mapped, and what do I want to do with the facet? Is it an OR with the other facets, or is it an AND with the other facets available? So we kind of set that up. All right. And finally, the one example that I was demonstrating earlier was about how would I go ahead and create a new search page. So let's actually do this fairly simply. I'll duplicate and I'll call it so obviously my view would be limited to how I've set up my search page, and as you can see in the presentation details here, I have all of these SSS components, so I can choose what I want to use. So if I want to use a type ahead, I can do that. If I want to remove the type ahead, I can do that as well. We actually have several different components available that are kind of provided. And in this case, if it's a landing page, it's a very similar example to what I did earlier. I can easily use the filter and make sure I'm setting things up. Actually, what I can also do is in this legal website, what if I wanted to display results that are not from legal website and from Habitat? All I really have to do is make sure I change this. So I'm going to save this. And I'm going to go publish and preview. So all I did to kind of show results from a different site is I changed one field. Now, this is particularly useful if you have several different sites and you want to run a promotion from one site on the other side. You can use a component and make sure you're getting this information. Another use case of this would be if I were to switch back to the home page for the Habitat site. Okay, so this is something that I was originally demoing. Where I have set up some personalization. The personalization here is defined, so the default view is what Sitecore ships with, and the secondary view is what I had built for SSS. So I'm going to go ahead and edit some of these conditions. Okay, so in this condition, what I'd want to do is, actually, did I do this right? Oh, I'm on the legal side. I want to switch to the Habitat side, sorry. Oh, that's actually a good thing I switched, because you could see that I'm using the exact same component on both the sides. The presentation looks a little bit different. So some of the conditions that I've defined here is if the current interaction is on trade show channel, then I'm showing them some offline campaigns. Similarly, if I have a condition around somebody visited the SSS search results, I'm showing them results based on the query that they performed. Now, how can I set that up? I'm going to add a new condition here. And just because this is an example, I'll take one of the easiest one here. I'm going to say if it is the 6th is passed. Now here, the way Sitecore works with rules engine is it's going to pick the one that matches first, and it basically goes in the chronological order. So if you want to make sure that this one doesn't trigger first, you have to move this condition up, and the way you do that is you just move it up or down. Now that I picked this, I do want to change to my SSS component. So I'm going to go SSS recent search. And I want to personalize the content here. So let's go ahead and create a new one. And I'm going to call it date has passed. All right. So my date has passed, and I've set that up correctly. I'd go back here. And in here, I'm going to switch to my newest condition. I guess I didn't give it a name, did I? Let me actually go ahead and make sure that I have the condition name defined. Okay, it's test. So let's look for test as the first condition here. Okay, so now that I have this defined, the thing it is doing is it's just giving me the first result for an empty search that is performed. I want to change that, and the way I can do that is I can basically define a query. So in this case, let's just say I've defined a query, and I also want to make sure that I define a filter. So very similar to the controls that I previously displayed, I can choose which site I want to use. So in this case, I'm already, actually, why don't I do this? I'm going to do law, and I'm going to use the legal service. So the result showing up here should be related to law. And I'm going to save that. All right, let's see. Is the test experience showing up here? Did I do something wrong here? Okay, let's check the condition one more time. And test. Oops. Looks like I've done something wrong here in the setup. I'll make sure I don't do that again. But if you get the idea, the principle is fairly simple, that you can choose your conditions and you can define what component would show up. So in this case, I have results based on Apple showing up. And then similarly, if I go to the Android default, then it's also showing up Siri, because if you remember, I had set it up so that instead of Android, some of the Siri results, some of the Apple results would be showing up, and these are the 4 results that I ordered in my results set. That's kind of how it is set up. The rule that I have to find here is somebody is using an Android device, I want to show them an Android result. If somebody's using an Apple result, Apple device, then I want to show them an Apple result. So I'm working with the Sitecore rules engine and kind of extending it a little bit further. All right. So I kind of went through a lot of information here about the SSS piece. The one other thing actually, I did cover the statistics and ranking. So let's actually go back to our presentation here real quick and summarize. So back to our product highlights. So you get improved search experience because you're managing your search and you're managing based on how people are performing search on your website. And the other feature is accelerate your content integration. So meaning I can integrate with any other site. So if you have a lot of WordPress sites, or you have a SharePoint site, you can actually have that content integrated as well. You can align functionality with the strategy, make sure that it's easy to configure your search results. So what you do want to do is, in my case, I was using an Apple and an Android example because maybe I'm a company that wants to sell more Apple-related products than Android, and I kind of work through that, or vice versa. Similarly, if you have boots and you want to make sure that along with when somebody's searching for a boot, you also show a couple of jackets that people would be interested in, you can set that up as well. And with the analytics, you get more idea about how people are interacting with your website. The obvious other benefits are you get filtered search, you get dynamic type ahead media, and as you can see in the screenshot here, the type ahead that we're displaying is a little bit different than the type ahead that I was displaying, so that gives you the flexibility. Filters also can be set up as checkboxes or multiple different formats. We also have an API if you wanted to extend it. And we also work with did you mean and suggestions if you ever wanted to extend those. So summary would be you can also accelerate your content integration. Most of it would be different web crawlers, databases, file systems, or you just want to do a Sitecore connection. And as I was previously mentioning about the agile functionality and strategy, you get your advanced ranking models. What I did demonstrate was how you can adjust ranking based on boost values, or you can adjust ranking based on elevations that you've defined. These elevations could be fairly complex than what I've demonstrated. It could be multi-term as well. You can also have phrases match up and show up first, or if you want to do part queries, that is also possible to promote those results. And then At the same time, if you have synonyms and company stopwords, company names as stopwords defined, the search can be more relevant. You can always do prioritize search results, define promotions, and also search redirects to brands. So if somebody is searching for a product which is actually living on a different website, you can easily redirect them from the interface. And you can have replacement products. So what if something is out of stock and you want you want your customers to look at a replacement product, you can do that as well. And as from a fine-tune standpoint, you get the query statistics. The screenshot here is based on one of the websites, but we can always give you information about individual websites and help you improve your search results. And this is kind of another emphasis on the design that we have for how do you boost your rankings. So I am going to pause here and ask if there are questions or anything else that you'd like to kind of go over. You can type your questions on the chat and we'll be happy to answer.
I don't currently see any questions, Niket.
Mm-hmm. Okay. All right. And Greg, you did mention we want to go over the some of our
the pricing and the services. The pricing is relatively simple. It's based on your Sitecore licensing architecture. So for each main Sitecore content server, it is $8,000, and then each content delivery server is an extra $2,500. So relatively simple pricing. And Niket, do you have the screen that talks about implementation services?
Yes, I'm trying to pull it up. Give me 1 second.
Sure.
All right. Greg, I have it up.
So basically, the services are relatively simple. So package one is what a majority of our clients, almost everyone needs this particular package. So it's about 1 week of work at about $8,000. Package two, as you can see on there, we add a couple of different pieces of functionality, and the price there moves to $20,000. And then the third is really some additional things that we see, but there's always things that people are looking for that aren't part of what a typical implementation looks like. So that's why it says requires evaluation. So relatively simple, easy pricing in comparison to some of the competitors out there, extremely affordable. I guess kind of to wrap up, if you've got additional questions and you would like to schedule something for your company individually, go ahead and shoot me an email and we'll set up a time for you. We really appreciate your time today, and Niket, thanks. It was great as always. And I don't see any more questions, so I guess we'll give you all 5 minutes of your day back. All right, great. Thanks very much.
Everyone.